be able to define the epiblast and the hypoblast, differentiate between the trigeminal disc, discuss the formation of the mesoderm and the biaxial mesoderm, discuss the developmental relation of the hypaxial and the apexial muscles, and explain the myogenesis and the development of the musculoskeletal system. Okay, so this is just a revision of formation of the embryonic disc. Initially, after the cell division, the embryonic cells, they organize themselves into the outer and the inner cell mass, and that inner cell mass it organizes itself into a two-germ layer that is called as a bilaminar disc. And that embryonic disc, the two layers consisted of the epiblast and the hypoblast, lining the amniotic cavity and the primary yolk sac. After that, in the third week, streak appear in the epiblastic cells, and that is called as a primitive streak. This streak is responsible for the formation of the third layer, that is called the mesodermal layer. And that mesodermal layer, formation of that mesodermal layer, now the epiblastic cells and the hypoblastic cells termed to be as the ectodermal cells, endodermal cells, and the mesodermal. So at the around 21st or at the end of the third week, the three germ layers are formed and differentiate into the ectoderm, mesoderm, and the endoderm. When these three germ layers are forming, a structure that is formed at the central part, which give the rigidity to the developing embryonic disc, that is called the notochord. So by the formation of this germ layer, a third intermediate structure is formed from the primitive streak, that is called the notochord. Divide this mesoderm into right and the left half, and that right and the left half are differentiate into three segmental arrangement. That is the paraxial mesoderm nearer to the notochord, then the intermediate mesoderm, and the lateral plate that divide into two, the somatic mesoderm and the splanchnic mesoderm. The somatic mesoderm is going to form going to form the part of the connective tissue element associated with the external body wall, while the splanchnic mesoderm, they are responsible for the connective tissue element of the gut wall. Okay, so this structure that is formed from the segmental arrangement, it forms a segmental arrangement in the whole length of the embryo, is from the paraxial mesoderm. So this paraxial mesoderm, they organize themselves into segment, and they form elevation on the ventral aspect of the body wall of the embryo, are termed to be as a somite. So what are the somite? They are nothing, just the segmental arrangement of the paraxial mesoderm, and appears to be as a ball-like appearance or the cuboid-like appearance on the dorsal body wall in the segmental form. That's why they term to be as a somite. And these somite are basically responsible to form the connective tissue element, included the musculature, the dermis, and the connective tissue around the this developing neural tube to form the vertebral column and the ribs. So they are basically responsible for the axial connective tissue element as well as the musculature of the developing embryo. Okay, so what are the paraxial mesoderm? The paraxial mesoderm is a thick plate of the mesoderm located on the midline. It is present on the either side of the developing notochord and the neural tube. They organize themselves into segments from cranial to the caudal sequence. So first they appear in the cranial region, and then they appear on the caudal one. This is an electron microscopic picture that's showing the developing stages of the neural tube. First the neural groove formed, then the neural plate, then the neural groove formed, and they converted into the neural tube and notochord. This picture also showing the notochord and the differentiation of the mesoderm into right and the left, and the most medial aspect of the mesoderm are organize themselves into a cuboidal type of a structure or the cube type of a structure. This is again an electron microscopic picture on the ventral aspect of the embryonic disc that's showing the neural tube, and on the either side of the tube these cuboidal type of body mass appear into a segmental region, and that segmental region give the formation of the somatogenesis from cranial to the caudal region. Now going to discuss the details element that is found into the paraxial mesoderm, and then ultimately they differentiate into the somite, and the somite have the three distinct elements. One is called as a dermatome, the middle part is called as a myotome, and the lower or the ventral part is called as a sclerotome. These three elements are responsible for the formation of the supporting element of the body on the axial skeleton of the body. The dermatomes, they give the this dermis of body wall. The myotome, they give the musculature of the body wall, and the sclerotome, they are responsible for the formation of the ribs and the vertebral column. Okay, now a brief description about the somite. So the somite differentiate into sclerotome, myotome, and the dermatome. Sclerotome, it forms the cartilage and the bone around the developing neural tube and form the vertebral column and the ribs. Myotome, they form or they differentiate into a musculature in the form of epibaric or the apaxial form and the hypaxial form, that is on the dorsal component, and the ventral component around the axial skeleton. And the dermatome, they are responsible for forming the skin and the connective tissue element of the body wall. Initially, the dermatome and the myotome, they are collectively called as the dermatomyotome. So each dermatome and the myotome, they remains their segmentally arrangement, and the segmental arrangement receive their respective nerve supply from the developing neural tube. That's why a single spinal nerve supplied the specific segment of its dermatome and the myotome are called as a dermatomal supply of that skin part. It remain in the trunk region, somewhat in the trunk region, but it remains segmentally organized in the thoracic segment. But due to the development of the limb, this dermatomal supply get not in the segmental arrangement. Okay, that we will discuss in the gross anatomical distribution of the dermatome. Okay, now discuss the detailed differentiation of the somite. Okay, this somite gives the ventral and the dorsal and the ventral part of the myotomes, and the dermatomes and the sclerotome. This sclerotome, the cells, mesenchymal cells, they scattered around and organize themselves around the vertebral column to form the around the neural tube to form the vertebral body, vertebral processes, and the ribs. This dermatome, the cells migrate. They differentiate into the mesenchymal cells. In ill-differentiated cells, they goes around the body wall and they form the dermis and the subcutaneous element of the body wall. Now this epithelial cells of the myotome, they are responsible for the formation of the muscles. So they are going to form the myogenesis, and the process that involved in the formation of the myogenesis is called as a epithelio-myothelial transformation. So as we all know that the muscle element is a connective tissue element, and all the connective tissue elements are mainly developed from the mesodermal inner region. All the body muscles, they are developed from the mesoderm except the muscles of the iris and the part of the esophagus. They developed from the neuroectodermal inner region. While rest of the muscles, skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, and the cardiac muscles, they developed from the mesodermal layer. The paraxial mesoderm is responsible for the development of the skeletal muscles. Okay. So the somatomeres and the somites, they form the myotomes, and the myotomes that form the axial skeleton and the axial skeleton of the body wall, limb muscles, and the muscles of the head and neck region. Now the description of the development of the muscles. Limb muscles are the muscles, skeletal muscles, the mesenchymal cells or the myotome cells, they going to transform under the influence of the different signaling molecules and the myogenic chains to differentiate into epithelial mesenchymal transformation. These epithelial type of cells, ill-defined type of cell, they organize themselves, they get elongated, their nucleus get elongated and the cell body get elongated to form a longitudinal type of or the long structure and fuse themselves, arrange themselves in a longitudinal tube-like structure and appears to be as a longitudinal tube with the multinucleated cells at the periphery. So they form the skeletal muscles. What occurs? First indication of the myogenesis is the elongation of the nuclei and the elongation of the mesenchymal cells to differentiate into the myoblasts. So the cells differentiate into the myoblast. These myoblasts diffused and they forming a tube-like structure. So they form a fibrous type of structure or the fiber type of structure by the process of myogenesis. Okay, so initially the mesenchymal cells differentiate, they goes to the site of the cells and they form elongated cells. These elongated cells, they fuse to form the tube and these tube now converted into the myofibers. After that, the myofibers, within the cytoplasm of these tubes or the myofibers, myofilaments appear and these myofilaments and the myofibrils are responsible for the striated appearance of these longitudinally arranged cells. So the myofibrils develop or the myofilaments develop within the cytoplasm of the myotubes. The muscles, they get elongated, they become narrower and because of the fusion of multiple myoblastic cells, they give the multinucleation. That's why the striated muscles has the multinucleated myofibers. Around that myofibers, when the cell get differentiate into the skeletal muscles, they are covered by the external lamina. So they wrapped by the connective tissue layer and that layer is called as the external lamina. So when the group of muscles arranged, they segregated from the surrounding connective tissue element. They form the epimysium and the perimysial layer of the fibrous connective tissue layer and that basically developed from the fibroblast. Endomysium is another connective tissue. The endomysium is the innermost covering of that myofibrils and they derive from the reticular fibers. So the muscles increase in length and diameter when the body is growing with the age. Almost all type of myotomes converted into the myofibrils and the skeletal muscles are developed before the birth, but the few were completed their myogenesis within the first year of life. Okay. Now after the process of the myogenesis, the group of muscles are formed from the myotomes. These group of muscles are the epiaxial or the epimeres and the ventral part, that is forming the dorsal part, dorsal aspect of the surrounding the notochord or the dorsal aspect of the body wall, and a group of muscle that forming the ventral portion of the notochord. So they got called as a hypaxial or the hypomers. Because the neural tube is developing on the side, on the median aspect of that group of muscles or the paraxial mesoderm, nerve arises, the spinal nerve arises from that neural tube and it going to supply these group of hypomers and the epimers and the hypomers. So this picture showing the neural tube or the spinal cord, future spinal cord, and the emerging spinal nerve that supply the apexial apexial group of muscles and the hypaxial group of muscles. Basically, the apexial group of muscles, they forming the muscles of the dorsal aspect of the vertebral column, and the hypaxial or the hypomers are responsible to forming the muscles of the trunk, and they get elongated. They give the extension of the muscles to the growing bones of the limbs, and they are forming the muscles of the limbs. That's why the apexial muscles are supplied by the dorsal rami or the dorsal division of the spinal nerve. That's why it is supplying from the, in the adult, it is also visible that the dorsal aspect or the dorsal column or dorsal body wall is supplied from the dorsal rami of the spinal cord, while the group of muscles included the limb muscles and the hypaxial group of muscles, they are supplied by the ventral rami. So the segmental, the hypaxial muscles, they give the segmental arrangement, and that segmental arrangement only persisted at the thoracic region, while in the rest of the part, because of the development of the embryo, this segmental arrangement get lost. Okay. Another picture that showing the group of muscles, hypaxial and the apexial and the hypaxial, that is supplied by the dorsal and the ventral division of the spinal nerve. Okay. Now the derivative of the paraxial division. The muscles, they derive from the paraxial division. Myoblast are the extensor muscles of neck and the vertebral column. So the back of the muscle, the back of the vertebral column, are they derived from the apexial group of muscles. Embryonic muscles derive from the sacral and the coccygeal myotomal segment. They degenerated and only converted into the dorsal sacrococcygeal ligament. So hypomeres, the derivative muscles of the hypomeres are the myoblasts. From these hypomeres, they give the muscles of the cervical region, and they forming the paravertebral region of the paravertebral muscles of spleniae in the cervical segment, infrahyoid muscles and the genoid muscles. In the thoracic region, they form the lateral and the ventral flexor muscles of the vertebral column, and they forming the quadratus lumboral muscles of the in the lumbar region, and in the sacral region, they forming the pelvic diaphragm. Okay. Another picture that showing the specific division of the myotome in the posterior aspect and the ventral aspect. Posterior aspect giving the dorsal muscle column, while the hypomeres, they giving the perivertebral and the segmental muscles of the intercostal region, as well as the segmental the muscles of the limb region. So how the muscles of the limbs are formed? As previously it was discussed that the limbs are developed at the two region, in the cervical part, cervicothoracic region, or the pectoral girdle region, and the pelvic girdle region. So the pelvic region is in the lumbosacral segment, and the limb region is the cervicothoracic segment. So at these two sides, the limb buds appear, and with the appearance of that limb buds, the cell migrated and they differentiate into the limb muscles. So they arrange themselves around the developing or the growing bone to extensor compartment of the muscles and the flexor compartment. So basically they are derived from the hypaxial group of muscle, and they differentiate into extensor and the flexor compartment. That's why extensor and the flexor compartment of the limb muscles, both of them are supplied by the ventral rami of the, because of the buds are present at the cervical and the thoracic segment region. That's why the dermatomal supply or the dermatomal differentiation or the segmentation get lost. Okay. So the musculature of the limb bud develops from the myogenic cells or the myoblasts surrounding the developing bones. They first located into the ventral part of the dermatomyotome, and then they get Okay, again that's showing the limbered appearance and the development of the growing bone. And the hypoblastic cells, they differentiate into the extensor group and the flexor group around the developing bone, and they all are supplied by the ventral rami of that spinal segment. Okay, so at the end of the 5th week, musculature in the body wall divides into the small portion, epimeres and the hypomeres. Nerve innervated by these hypomeres and the epimeres in by the 2 rami of each spinal segment. Dorsal part or the epimeres are supplied by the dorsal part, and the hypomeres are supplied by the ventral part. And these hypomeres group, they differentiate into the extensor and the flexor compartment around the developing limb bud. Now we are just a quick description or the quick review around the developmental musculature anomalies in the body wall. If the muscles get deficient or there is an anomaly in the formation of the myogenesis of the body wall, there are certain anomalies created. They may be the variation in their attachment, variation in their position and appearance of the myogenesis. The absence of the muscles are called the muscle agenesis. They may be complete or the partial. So complete means absolute absence, or partial means the part of the muscle is absent. And the common anomaly that seen during the practice are the absence of the pectoralis muscle. Okay, the absence of the pectoralis major muscle. This picture shows the absence of the both of the pectoralis muscle, while this picture shows as a unilateral absence of the pectoralis major muscle, and it is called as a Poland syndrome. Another condition associated with the absence of the palmaris longus muscle that occurs usually in the 15% of the population. There is a complete absence of the palmaris longus tendon in the hand. Another condition is congenital condition associated with the development or the birth trauma of the muscles, called the congenital torticollis, in which during the normal vaginal delivery, the injury occur in the musculature part, the blood get accumulated, hematoma formation. It will result into the shortening of the dead part of the sternocleidomastoid, and it result into the head tilting towards the affected side, and that is called the torticularis. Just a quick brainstorming exercise. The paraxial mesoderm around the neural tube give rise to somoid, ectoderm, somatic mesoderm, or the neural crest. As we have discussed that the paraxial mesoderm is going to form the somoid. Another brainstorming exercise is an infant is born with the poorly controlled muscles of the back. This is due to the failure of the nerve to grow into the muscle proximity, which group of muscles forming the structure to the extensor of the vertebral column. So we have discussed previously that the apexial division of the myotome are responsible to forming the